Take my device. Ah, it's better. I wonder why it's telling me that I have to go live at this angle instead of rotated. Interesting. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham in the last hour of the transfer window. So that's what we're going to talk about. Obviously, as the hour ticks over, I'm assuming some people might jump in on this video. Please feel free to comment. I think I've got it on live comments so I can see what you're commenting about and we can have a little chat as things go on. So some of you may have seen the video earlier talking about deals that have already happened for Spurs. It's been a bit of a frustrating one because Spurs still have not announced Porro through the door. Hello, first viewer. Yeah, so Porro has still not actually been announced on the Spurs website as of yet, which is really frustrating. Still, the only thing that we've got with an incoming player is Jude, not Jude Bellingham, unfortunately, but Jude Soonsup-Bell from Chelsea, the one into our development squad that I spoke about earlier in the video. That was the 19-year-old forward from Chelsea with the deal that runs till 2025. But a little bit frustrating. Hello, Gunslinger, how you doing? But yeah, we're still waiting. As far as I've been told, everything is sorted with the Porro deal. It's over the line, medical pass. Maybe they're just holding out to announce it right till the last minute because they're either working on other deals, hopefully. There's a few outgoings to talk about. Or they're going to wait till the last minute to announce it to almost make us forget that they haven't done anything else in this window. But we're not that naive, are we? But I've got my computers open just to make sure of anything that happens activity-wise throughout the remaining hour. Hopefully the phone lasts the whole hour. I have been charging it whilst on the computer. Hang on a minute. Something real... Oh, Tottenham Hotspur. Matt Doherty departs. There we go. So Matt Doherty, wow, this is really strange. Matt Doherty was meant to be going out on loan to Atletico Madrid. It has completely changed now. Spurs have now just released a statement saying, we have mutually agreed the termination of Matt Doherty's contract to enable him to join another club. I mean, I'm baffled at that one. So the guy signed from Wolverhampton Wanderers in August 2020, Republic of Ireland international, 71 appearances for us in all competitions, scoring 3 goals. They've put, we should like to thank Matt for his service and wish him well for the future. Now, I'm not sure how this has come about. They put that up, Tottenham put it up at 9:55. That's a really strange one. We've been told all day that he was going to be going on loan to Atletico Madrid. I have no idea where this has come from. This is not something that's really been spoken about. And this is on the Spurs official website. So there we go. Matt Doherty has had his contract terminated. So we're going to we're going to get him off the wage book. We're not going to get any loan fee for him now. We're not even going to get a sale fee. I don't know what's happened there. There must have been some breakdown with Atletico Madrid. That is crazy. I mean, I think a lot of us thought at the beginning of the window, all right, okay, 808 lacking. I said Doherty has gone to, and now he's retracted his comment. I mean, I'm absolutely baffled by that one. There must have been something massive go on in the tail of Matt Doherty for that to happen, for us to terminate his contract. Absolutely flabbergasted. But yeah, Pedro Porro, still not announced on the Spurs website, as I've said. I'm just going to keep refreshing it until it goes through. But some of the other departures, so we already spoke about Jed Spence earlier in the earlier video. So he's gone to Stade Rennais, where he's going to join Joe Rodon, who's on loan there at the moment. So a signing that, Conte quickly came out and said was a club signing. So it's not the best start for Jed. He must have known it was going to be difficult. Who's this? Brandon Long, Kieran Love, all the transfer news analysis. Big up, quality stuff, mate. Thank you very much, Brandon. Really appreciate it. But yeah, joined us from Middlesbrough last summer. England under-21 international. Made the Premier League debut in the 2-0 victory over Nottingham Forest in August 2022. But yeah, he's only made 6 appearances in our colours so far. Been really disappointing for him. I'm actually quite frustrated at the lack of game time that he's got. Thank you very much. So there's some really kind messages coming through, guys. Really, really appreciate it. So yeah, Jed Spence has gone to Ligue 1 side Stade Rennais for the remainder of the 22-23 season. And as I mentioned earlier, there is going to be no option to buy or obligation to buy, which is great. 2 reasons for that. 1, we've only just brought him in. 2, as Conte has said, he was a club signing. And 3, if Conte goes and Pochettino was to come back in, or another manager, we would hope that they would start to use the youth a little bit more. It's been a big frustration under Conte, but we knew that when he came in that he doesn't really want to use the youth. Although he did make a point of using Skip and Sarr and Tanganga after the stories broke about it. Another player out on loan is Harvey White. He has gone to League One side Derby County on loan for the remainder of the season. For those of you that haven't seen much of Harvey White and haven't seen any of the under 21 games, who's that, Neil? I am shocked that Matt Doherty contract has been terminated without sale proceeds. What is going on? Quite simply, the answer to what is going on, I have no idea. I think this has shocked everyone. It's not something that had been talked about all day. We thought that he was going on loan to Atletico Madrid. It's absolutely strange. Yeah, Skip was a regular before his injury. He was. He's the only youngster that Conte had really been using until, Bentancur obviously came in. And there's no argument there. Bentancur definitely adds us something a little bit different. Experience, he's good on the ball. Skip, I feel, has been used wrong under Conte this season. Not so much last season, but after he's come back from injury, he's used him in the wrong way. But yeah, back to Harvey White. So those of you that haven't seen much of him, versatile midfielder, 21 years old now. He's continued to work with the first team pretty much all of this season. He's been a regular in the matchday squads, recently making his in the 4-0 win over Crystal Palace. Previously, he's had loans with Portsmouth 2021 season, and he's made 3 appearances for us to date. He's very, very, very highly rated amongst people within the club. Certainly when I've seen him playing for the development squads, I think very highly of him. Loan moves are something that he definitely needs. Conte doesn't like sending youngsters that he feels are good enough. He doesn't like to send them out on loan. He likes to keep them around the first team squad as much as he can, which is absolutely fine because then they learn the system that we're going to use. They're with the first team players all the time. They learn the culture of the club. But as we saw with Harry Kane, it's important for players to go out on loan to earn their pedigree, so they come back a tougher player. And I do like it when they go to the lower leagues because they have to toughen up. They're very, very physical leagues. The other person that went out that we all know is Brian Hill. So once again, to reiterate, with everyone that's gone out on loan so far, there is no obligation to buy. There is no option to buy. All the youngsters that are going out are just going out on loan to gain experience. So Brian Hill has gone back to Sevilla on loan till the end of the season. He obviously joined us from the La Liga side in the summer of 2021. He's made 11 appearances in all competitions this season. And to be fair, when he's come on, he's got a lot of energy and he's looked okay. So I wish him well. He's changed his diet and everything to try and bulk up. But still, the main bit of news that we've got is Matt Doherty being released. That's absolutely crazy. Speaking of players to be released, former Tottenham Hotspur player Josh Onomar got released from Fulham today. Had his contract all up. I just find it strange that these players, they have their contracts disrupted and taken. What's this? Gunslinger. I think there must have been a dispute over who would pay Matt Doherty's wages, so they cut his contract to allow him to move. Yeah, possibly. I just think it's strange that we're getting nothing for him. Absolutely mental. I'd rather that we just said, instead of cutting all ties completely, I'd rather we turn around to Atletico Madrid and gone, hey, you can have him for like 3-4 million if you want. And they could have just given Matt Doherty a contract till the end of the season, and then he'd have been a free agent in the summer. He would have been used under Diego Simeone, with no doubt. The Spanish league is not as intensive as ours. Matt Doherty is more of a marauding right wing back. I think he'd have done well over there. We saw what happened with Trippier. He was a decent player when he left us. He was a much better player afterwards. Max Norman, big question. If Pochettino wanted it, would you have him back over Conte? Based on this transfer window, I'd probably say yes. It is very clear the club have not backed Conte in the way they should have. He wanted a defender in. He wanted a right wing back. He's getting the right wing back, but we've lost two of them now. So Doherty, obviously contract terminated, and then you've got Jed Spence out on loan. So that leaves just the two of them now. Once Porro's announced, it'll be him and then Emerson Royale. So we're still stuck with Emerson Royale, who's great defensively but very poor in an attacking sense. So to answer the question, at the moment, if this transfer window ends the way I think it's going to, with no more incomings, then yeah, I probably would take Pochettino back, because I've reiterated it in some of my other videos that Tottenham are a project club, and we've brought in a manager that is a win now manager. Win now managers need money thrown at top rate players to come in, and it hasn't worked. We saw it under Mourinho. It did not work. We didn't give him everything he wanted. We're doing the same with Conte. I mean, I feel like Conte partly would like to succeed at Tottenham and have a project, and he said it's going to take 4 transfer windows to do it. Yeah, I think part of me at this moment, I said it earlier in the transfer window, if we're not going to back Conte and Conte's going to leave at the end of the season, I would rather he just left now, so Pochettino could come in, take over, and sort of, bring some of the youngsters in. There was talk earlier, someone was asking me about Destiny Udogie. Do I think that we should bring him back off his loan? Unfortunately, we can't, because he's played enough games out on loan to stop that from being able to be triggered. Sessegnon really hasn't done it so far this season. Perisic has struggled since he come back from the World Cup, which is annoying, because before he went, he was great. During the World Cup, he was great. Here we go. What's this? There is still every chance. Journalist now drops big Tottenham and Antonio Conte game. I hope you're wrong. Want Conte to stay. Look, I think in an ideal world we all want Conte to stay, but it's very much based on what the club are going to do. I think the club are just not giving Conte what he needs, and that's the issue. If we were going to give him, I want him to stay, but they're not. This is the issue. So we're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. That is the issue. Like, he got lucky last season to get us into the top 4. I don't think it was necessarily his management. I think it was the bounce of a new manager. It was the fact that in the last 15 games of the seasons, we had a fully fit squad. We weren't in cup competitions. We were out of the Europa Conference doodah, and we were knocked out of the other cups. So we were able to go on a run. I can't at the moment see it. The Danjuma signing was very underwhelming. I know he looked lively in the game. But yeah. Oh, here we go. Atletico Madrid have actually confirmed the signing of Matt Doherty. Now they've actually said that they've got him now after the termination of his contract. So there you go. There would have been a bit of argy-bargy over money, and Daniel Levy's obviously made the decision to just bin him off. Just signed his contract. There we go. That's what we wanted to hear. Fabrizio Romano has said that the 39 million player, come on, they've spent big in the summer window and they're trying to fill the gaps this time around. I mean, they did spend a decent chunk in the summer, but it still wasn't quite what we needed. One of the main things that we wanted in was a centre-back, and we gave him nobody. It's a real issue. They did spend, like, I'm not denying that they spent a lot of money. Well, I say a lot of money compared to some of the other clubs. It wasn't a lot of money. Look, I mean, I'm a Conte fan. My question is, are you happy playing this style of football, knowing that there's almost no point in watching the first half in most of our games, to then fight back in the second half and get a result against lesser teams, but then when we come up against like your Arsenals and stuff like that, it doesn't quite work. Like, I mean, we flipped the script at Man City, didn't we? We scored the 2 goals in the first half and conceded 4 in the second. We've been better in the last few games. We've kept some clean sheets recently, but I'm just worried it's not going to work. Like in this transfer window, Daniel Levy has spent the whole window chasing Pedro Porro. And we've only just got that one over the line. But to do that, we've had to get rid of people. What else we got here? They went for a specific centre back like Liverpool did with Virgil van Dijk. I understand they're waiting for a specific centre back, but look, if you want to challenge with the elite, you've got to sometimes take a punt on a rather than waiting for the perfect player. Sometimes you have to take a punt on somebody that's maybe a little bit overpriced and inflated in the market to balance the squad. I actually think Davinson Sanchez has been okay when he's been called upon and given more responsibility. When he's played through the middle, he's actually been better than what he has playing on the right. I think the issue when he plays on the right of the back three, his concentration gets blurred. He tends to get drawn out to cover the right wing backs when they're further forward. His positioning and awareness isn't the best. When he played through the middle in the cup, and I know it was against a team in a lower division, he was actually pretty darn good. I was happy with that. My issue is with people like Tanganga. His concentration's not great. He goes in too hard in the tackle. He's more of a loose cannon than Romero is when he's on the pitch at the moment. Which is, it sounds harsh to say, but he really is. I think he's a liability, and that's not his fault. It's our fault for not sending him out on loan, not giving him enough football for Tottenham. I know he's had his injuries, but you can't just have a player like that sitting on the bench. He's not developing. Yeah, a one in one out situation with foreign players. Yeah, possibly. That may have been the case. I still think Doherty was probably the wrong player to let go on a free. I think he could have helped us towards the end of the season. But yeah, Fabrizio Romano, back to that, sorry, he has said the saga is finally over as the fullback has signed his contract to join Tottenham Hotspur through from Sporting CP. So the initial loan offer 4.4 million with an obligation to buy in the summer in the fee of a region of 39 million pounds. The Spaniard signed a 5.5 year contract. Oh, he has signed a 5.5 year contract, which will see him in North London until 2028. Romano has revealed that the official unveiling as a Tottenham Hotspur player is imminent and that the ongoing transfer discussions have now come to a close. I mean, it's gone on so long, hasn't it? It's been boring. I almost thought for a minute it was going to be like the Leandro Damião, where it went on for the of the whole of the transfer window, and then he didn't come in. Right, what else have we got here? Right, we can get rid of that now. Nothing. Honestly, it looks like nothing is coming in whatsoever. They did say there was a possibility we were going to make no signings after the Pedro Porro, and I think that is a real shame. The whole Zaniolo thing, it just went really quiet for a few days. There has been a few reports that have come out over the course of the day saying we might still try and do something. I agree, but I have a mate who follows Italian football and he thinks Skriniar is overrated. Possibly. Skriniar is in a team where they're surrounded by a lot of quality, and sometimes that can make a player look better. They don't concede as many goals because of how they play as a team. But I don't know. Skriniar, I think when we were looking at him before, no worries. Thank you very much for the comment. Say night, back tomorrow. Yep. No worries. A good night, my friend. I think it's going to be a frustrating one when we're not going to make any more signings. They did say it go quiet, but I wouldn't rule out in this last hour that it's not that now, it's 40 minutes. In this last 40 minutes that we might push through with something random. Thank you. Yes, please give us a like. That'd be fantastic. But also in the last hour, just random reports about previous transfer windows. Harry Redknapp has come out and spoken about when he was Spurs boss. A little bit of reminiscence. Why not? Let's throw something in there. Another frustration. Harry Redknapp has said that when he was in charge, he tried to bring Luis Suarez to Tottenham ahead of Liverpool, but Daniel Levy gave him a couple of free transfers instead. Now, I actually remember this. This was obviously before this channel existed. I remember watching that very closely about Luis Suarez, and I was watching all the YouTube clips of everything that he'd done before. He then, is this fair enough, but Conte must have seen something in and worked with him. Yeah, similar to a Botman. Yeah, I mean, even Harry Maguire's name was thrown about, wasn't he? Who actually works quite well in a back three. But the issue with him is to bring Maguire in, you have to ship Dyer out because they can both play in the middle. Um, but yeah, back to Harry Redknapp. Suarez obviously became one of the finest strikers of a generation for Liverpool, Barcelona, and Uruguay. Also helped Atletico Madrid to the La Liga title in 2021 and actually outscored Ronaldo and Lionel Messi in a season. The guy was frightening, hungry as well, constantly biting players. But I do remember that one. That was a frustration. So he said it was when he was on Talksport talking to Laura Woods. Asked, were there any big deals that you missed out on during the managerial career? Suarez was the one that stood out. He said loads over the years, so many it's crazy. You think you've got one done and you're sitting around late at night trying to get it done and it doesn't come off. When you're in a relegation battle and you're struggling and you know you need one or two, you've got no chance. Or if you're trying to make the top four, that's when you realise Dyer doesn't count as homegrown either. No, that's completely true. He said, I tried to get Luis Suarez at Tottenham but couldn't get it done. And then the chairman let me have a couple of free transfers instead. When it's over, it's quite a relief, to be honest. You think the window shut, let's get on with it. Let's get the best out of what we've got. So with the window closed and Suarez gone, Redknapp had to wait until the summer for the free striker signing of Emmanuel Adebayor as well as Louis Saha the following winter, but never quite hit the heights of the two-time European Golden Shoe winner Suarez. Interestingly, talking about those, Louis Saha didn't really do much. But Adebayor was fantastic in his loan season, and that was the problem with his career, wasn't it? He was great on loan. The same thing happened at Real Madrid. Went on loan there, signed permanently, was useless. I thought I'd sign Dybala for my five-a-side team. Yeah. But yeah, Adebayor was one of them, wasn't he? He was fantastic when he was on loan. Then he'd get a full contract and just kind of go to pot. He did that after us as well. Crystal Palace, all sorts. Right, anything else coming in? Still nothing. Why don't we have a little talk about what else has gone on around the window then and things happening elsewhere at the moment? Wow, I can't believe this one was actually on the card. So Everton, obviously in their poor position, tried to make a move for AC Milan striker Olivier Giroud. However, the France international has decided his future is not on Merseyside. Well, of course it's not. AC Milan won the title last year and he's still very much scoring goals. Navas to Forest, I mean, that was a bit of a surprise one. Obviously, their injury to Henderson put Nottingham Forest in the market. And, after what was it, 22 signings that they made in the summer? Keylor Navas, decent enough goalkeeper, but hasn't actually played this season for PSG. He's got a loan deal with them till the end of the season. It's amazing that he's ended up going there, but obviously wants a bit of first team football. But Henderson, it's not a long injury, so be interesting to see what happens. Former Arsenal defender Hector Bellerin has gone to Sporting Lisbon, so that looks like a replacement for them. Chelsea have agreed the 105, I mean, this is ridiculous, £105 million Fernandes transfer. That is absolutely ridiculous. Clever by the Chelsea owner, Bowley. He's managed to find loopholes in the system, handing out long contracts, 8-year contract to Mudryk. Obviously, FIFA are now going to put in a rule to say you can't give out more than a 5-year contract now, but there's still other loopholes in there of how you structure finances to get through financial fair play. I think it's absolutely crazy that they're paying that kind of money for a player that, yes, did well in the World Cup, but is very much unknown as to whether he can play at the top level in a team like Chelsea that's kind of in a rebuild. So that one will be interested. Doherty is fully announced as an Atletico player on their Twitter account. At Matt Doherty 20 is a new red and white player. The Irish international joins our club for the rest of the season. So that's interesting. He's not gone on loan, but they've still only given him a short contract till the end of the season. Madness. Another Arsenal one. Arsenal's Lokonga joins Palace on loan. I'm assuming that's because of their injury to Zaha. Gunslinger. Who do you think will get in to replace Hugo? I remember saying Pope would have been a great option. I mean, Pope has been fantastic recently. Obviously, kept all those clean sheets, which he obviously hasn't tonight in the cup. I think Southampton have scored, haven't they? I'm not really keeping an eye on it, but is it still 3-1? Does anyone know? I think he's a good keeper. Do I think he's the answer for us? Not necessarily. There's things I like about him. I think Hugo Lloris is going to have a big input as well, who takes over the jersey from him, which I think is only right. He's been at the club for a long time now. He's been fantastic. Obviously, this season's been a bit hit and miss. He has made more mistakes defensively than anyone in the Premier League. That includes outfield players, mistakes that have led to a goal. Look, we love him to bits. He's been a fantastic servant. A lot of people don't like Jordan Pickford. I quite do. Fantastic for England. And you need to forget how many goals he concedes for Everton. You've got to remember he's playing a very, very poor club at the moment. It's one of the worst run clubs in the country. But if you look at his save ratio, ignore the goals that he lets in, his save ratio is among the top in the Premier League. Hasn't let us down for England at all. And I have no doubt that you put a better team in front of him, he looks a better goalkeeper. You've only got to look at Arsenal with Ramsdale. He was relegated twice. And, the fact is, if you're playing for a lesser club, you're going to concede more goals. If you were to put Allison or Edison at any of the teams in the bottom 6 in the Premier League, they are going to concede goals no matter how good a goalkeeper they are. Poor defence, poor team, no goalkeeper, no matter how good they are, is going to keep clean sheets. Like, end of it. Everton, their business looks like it's done. Dyche has gone home. But yeah, other goalkeepers. Who would you guys have in? Who would you have in? It's other than Pope. Fraser Forster, I think, is a very capable backup. He's not going to be number one for us. We saw at Southampton before he came to us. He was very much in and out of the side. He was their number one for a period of time, then was out, and then came back in as number one. What else is going on? Chelsea agrees Ziyech loan deal with PSG. Now, at one point when Chelsea wanted to do a bit of business with us, we were offered Ziyech. Obviously got an absolute pinger of a left foot on him, but a very inconsistent player on the pitch. I think I'm right in saying before he went to Chelsea, he was very much linked with us, a player that we were looking at. He then went there. We've had the chance to take him again, and we've decided against it. And I think it's probably the right decision to have not taken him. Bournemouth sign Ahmed Traore from Sassuolo. Sassuolo, a team that not many people follow too much about. They've actually been a really good team at developing youngsters that have moved up and down to other places. They're a bit of a breeding ground for young talent. We haven't nicked anyone from them, but we've been linked with several players over the last few windows from theirs. Nottingham Forest, another signing for them. Felipe from Atletico Madrid. He is their 27th signing since the summer. That's ridiculous, isn't it? That is 2 starting lineups and substitutes. The other one they got in was what was it? Oh, deals that are still kind of not been fully confirmed. John Joe Shelvey, it's saying it's very still much in the works, and Shelvey went there this morning. Was actually meant to train with the squad today. Albrighton, Leicester winger Mark Albrighton is in West Midlands right now for a loan deal with West Brom. Mad one, don't understand that at all. Should not be dropping down a division. Sabitzer's agent Whitman has been speaking to Sky Germany ahead of his move to Manchester United. I mean, he's a good free kick taker. Hasn't really hit the ground running in Bayern Munich. I agree. I mean, we were in for him at one point. Not the summer gone. The one before that we were looking at. What else? Fulham agree a Cedric deal in principle, having his medical from Arsenal to them. Alanga staying at Man United. Palace also signed a Hamada from Stuttgart. Maddison would be a great signing. Yeah, I completely agree. We do need some creativity, and I think Maddison is in a team that is very much up and down. They don't know where they're going. But the situation they're in, I think for them to let him go would be absolutely ridiculous. Over here in Italy, everybody said Kulusevski was overrated. Yeah, agreed. I actually watched the All or Nothing documentaries. I don't know if any of you have followed many of them. I even watched the Arsenal one just to see what it was like, because of all the stuff that Arteta had done when he was at Manchester City. Pep Guardiola was always saying that he was fantastic when he was there, a good tactician. So I wanted to watch that. But I was watching the Juventus one. The annoying thing about that is it's all in Italian, so you have to read subtitles. The only player that actually really talks much, well, two players that talk much English throughout that is Cristiano Ronaldo and Weston McKennie, another player that we've been linked with. And that documentary kind of starts with them having some injuries up front. Kulusevski was brought in, not a striker by any means, and he had to play up front for them. And I think even on his debut, he had to play through the middle or played in a two with Cristiano Ronaldo and scored. And he was fantastic at the beginning. But I think sometimes people will say that players are overrated just for the sake of saying it. They don't want those players to go. You say they're overrated, hope the word gets round, teams don't want them. Because fans very much have a bit of pulling power. If fans protest in a way and say, we don't want that player and push enough, that will put clubs off because they don't want to bring someone in that's instantly disliked from the start. What else? Everton had 25 million plus add-ons bid for Ndiaye rejected by Sheffield United. Don't care about that. Oh yeah, Jorginho obviously made his move to Arsenal, didn't he? And they were talking on TalkSport earlier about how Arsenal fans are becoming like spoilt brats, saying that a player like Jorginho is not good enough for them, and it's not what they should be doing. I think it's because they've had a bit of unsuccessful signings from Chelsea, haven't they? Peter Cech was past it when he went there. Interestingly, Peter Cech actually plays ice hockey in my hometown, Chelmsford, for the Chelmsford Chieftains. It's very strange. But yeah, who else? Willian struggled when he went there. And then Sideshow Bob, good old bouncy hair, David Luiz, he struggled there as well. So Jorginho, though, it annoys me to say, I think it's a good move for them. He adds experience. He's a decent player. A couple of seasons ago, he came third in the Ballon d'Or race, although I disagree that he should have been that high up on it. Obviously, a good penalty taker. Pace has never been something in his game. I think the fans are just being sport brats. It's a decent signing, and I didn't want it to happen. Not at all. I was wishing that one wasn't go through. He's definitely going to add something to them. He's obviously, just really annoying that they've managed to do it. What else was announced? Bournemouth signed Ukraine defender Zabarin. You know how I am with pronouncing names. Zabarini. Probably killing his name. 20-year-old central defender become their fifth signing. The thing that I like about this one, obviously, everything that's been going on in Ukraine financially, things have not been great. Bournemouth didn't try and take advantage of that. They actually managed to sort out a decent fee for it. So props there. Ooh, free agent Andre Ayew offered to Everton and Forest. The 33-year-old has been offered to a number of Premier League sides after leaving Al Sadd earlier this month. I mean, Everton could definitely do with a bit of experience in their side. I don't think it will help them much. But, right, that's enough of everybody else's transfers. We'll jump back to the top and see if anything else is going on with Spurs. I'm really sorry. This is very much like the last transfer window when I did the live stream. If you remember, any of you that were here before, it happened then, didn't it? We were sitting here waiting for stuff, and it was pretty dismal on the last day. Oh, here we go. There is more coming out now about the Matt Doherty thing, and I think it is going to be down to foreign players, isn't it? Yeah, we know that he's gone there. Fell down the pecking order. Atletico Madrid wanted more depth. Yada, 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 yada. As far as Doherty is concerned, Spurs were hoping to loan the player out till the end of the season, but they had to terminate his contract because of FIFA regulations. The London club already have 8 players out on international loans, and they're not able to sanction another loan for Doherty to Atletico Madrid. So, okay, so the players that are already out on loan is Hill, Lo Celso, Ndombele, Reguilon, Rodon, Udogi, Spence, and Winks. So it's not that he's a foreign player, it's the fact that he's out on an international loan to clear that one up. So that makes a bit more sense now. That has come through from Colin Miller of the Mirror. He's the one that's released that. So it wasn't to do with the fact that he's a foreign player, it's that he was going to go out to a foreign club. So that makes a bit more sense. I suppose it gets someone off our wages. He's 31. He probably wasn't going to do much for us next season. Financially, it makes sense. It's just frustrating that we didn't get any money for him. I think they could have at least said, you can have him for $1 million. $1 million. Something. I mean, there is nothing coming through. I'm really sorry, guys, that this is a boring one for Spurs. But I think... I'm annoyed, though, because... You would think with Paratici at our club, I know that he's had a lot go on recently with the court case and yada yada, but you'd expected, because he's allowed to do stuff at the moment, he'd have been way more active in this window, unless they are really now trying to push through something for Zaniolo. Like, I'm just praying he comes through the door. I don't think he will. No, it's honestly, everything is just talking about Matt Doherty. I am so sorry. But what do you rate our window at the moment? It's poor, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, we've had more outgoings than we have. And some of the players out on loan are starting to have some success. Harry Winks. I don't think there's anything... I don't think they'll try and sign him at the end of his loan. I mean, they could do. He's got Spanish in his family, hasn't he? He speaks Spanish. But he looks like he's done okay. He's been injured for a long time, obviously. Then he came back and trained with them. He came on and made his first appearance and looked okay with the small amount of minutes that he got. But I mean, he looks like he's doing well at the moment. I mean, what I would love, and I know a lot of you out there have wanted rid of Winks for a while. I would love to see Winks turn everything round, come back and be that creative spark for us. The frustration with Harry Winks is he's a great passer of the ball. And out of nowhere, everything just changed for him. And I feel like the fans were very fickle and just jumped on his back. And something that I've been watching was, I don't know if anybody else has watched it, the Jesse Lingard documentary that came out on Channel 4. It just gives you a bit of an insight into a player's mentality. So there was video footage of Manchester United fans after a game. He was just signing some autographs and they were abusing him, saying, oh, you're effing this and bloody blah, 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 whatever. And all at that time, you know, obviously he's a Premier League player. He's being paid good money at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Not performing, but behind the scenes. So his mum deals with mental health issues. She'd actually been put into somewhere, like a facility. And he was having to look after his little brother and sister. Now, obviously, he's got to go to Manchester United and train several days a week. He's not equipped to do that. He's not a parent. He'd already had to help out a lot. So the story behind it, Jesse Lingard's dad was separated from the mum. His brother and sister were from a different dad. And that person is not in the picture. So the mum was in having all these problems. He's worried about what's going on. You know, and family always comes first. It doesn't matter how much you're paid. Family always comes first. And yeah, he was really struggling with it behind the scenes, but he didn't come out and say anything. He's waited until now. I think he was very professional in the way he handled stuff. He could have come out at the time and said it. But it's just one of the things like, so my point is, with players like Harry Winks, when they weren't performing, the fans were so quick to turn on him and say, like, you're rubbish, you're useless, and blah, 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 get out of our club. This is the same guy that came through our youth academy, was so excited to be included in the first team under Pochettino, destroyed Real Madrid in the middle of the park against some of the best players in the world, and yet he had a little downturn in form, and fans were treating him the way they did. I think sometimes we as fans just need to remember that we have personal stuff go on, and maybe that stops you from doing your job properly. You go in, you're miserable, you can't perform to that level. And I think sometimes because they're paid so much money, we're just like, well, you pay 300 grand a week, you should be able to get on with it and perform at the highest level. But they're only paid that money because we stupidly pay £1,000 for a season ticket. We pay £50 for a ticket. We then pay like ridiculous money for a beer and food. We're actually funding their wages. Like, football clubs have a responsibility to not earn over a certain amount of money. So, for example, a former partner of mine, she worked for Halifax, which was part of the Lloyds banking group. So originally Lloyds banking group was Lloyds TSB. They started making so much money, the government forced them to split into separate companies. So that's why you've now got Lloyds and then you've got TSB. So I think Halifax still falls under one of those two, but they were split because they were making so much money. The government stepped in and went, whoa, 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 you have too much money. You can no longer be one company because they become too powerful. So football clubs as well, they still have responsibilities to. Hello, nearly lost my headphones. They still have a responsibility in that sense as well. But so wages then have to go back onto the players. That money has to go elsewhere, so they don't have too much money as a club. Whereas the billionaire owners, a lot of them are obviously foreign, they can have that money because they are no threat. They're one person. They're not an organisation. So just a little bit of insight there for you as to why a lot of the money has to go out in player wages. It's why clubs are happy to put agency fees in there and things like that. I love a bit of useless knowledge. So there you go, some in there. Still nothing coming through. It's very frustrating. I'm refreshing. What's Paul Robinson said? Paul Robinson has posted 5 words. 5-word verdict as Tottenham terminate Matt Doherty contract. Blah, 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 blah. Come on. I hate it when you open up a story. It gives you the tagline and then you have to scroll halfway down the page just to find what somebody said. It is literally, it tells you that as the headline. Then it tells you that we announced the blah, blah, blah. It's a bizarre turn of events. Bit of a hiccup. Then lists all the players out on loan and where they are. Yeah, that's lovely. Oh, and then the actual thing is just a tweet from him that says, didn't see that one coming. Excellent. What a waste of a story. Who posted that? That is a story from HITC. Brilliant. Well, thank you for that, HITC. That was very informative. It's clickbait. They've put a post out there. I've gone, hey, that looks like an interesting story. And that's all it was. Didn't see that one coming. Just so they can fill out with the same story that everybody else has broke. Quite clever by them. Honestly, this is so disappointing. I want us to have like an amazing transfer window at one point on the final day. I feel like my YouTube journey, talking about Spurs, it's like ebbs and flows. Like we have some great spells on the pitch. We put in some great performances, and then we have like a period where I have to just talk about depressing stuff. We have a transfer window where we sign, like, the summer was a fairly decent one. We signed some decent players, but it was all spaced out. And you know, the last transfer window, I was sitting here on the final day, not able to give you anything whatsoever. And the video that I made earlier today about Pedro Porro being in doing his medical, and we still, state of my hair, apologise, still have not got him over the line. I mean, I could have played a second football match tonight if I'd have wanted to. I did the one game because I wanted to get home afterwards and dig into transfers. Definitely should have played the second one. Let's have a little look at the loan deal for Harvey White with Derby County, because there's been some things wicked. Paul Warne helped seal Derby County transfer after brilliant conversation. I hope he gets used whilst he's there, Harvey White. I really do. New Derby County signing Harvey White is itching to get going at Pride Park and hailed wicked Paul Warne's influence in getting a deal over the line. White signed on loan to the end of the season from Tottenham Hotspur to help cover for Max Bird after the Rams captain picked up an injury in the FA Cup fourth round clash with West Ham on Monday night. Now the deal has been done, White can look forward to helping Derby bid for League One promotion with Warne's side unbeaten in 19 games before losing to West Ham. Like fellow January signing Tony Springett, who signed from Norwich, nobody cares about that, White was left impressed after talking to Warne about what he wants from potential new recruits. He was wicked, White said. Straight away he came across interested, and I almost felt like he was my manager before he even was. I'm raring to go. White will be among familiar faces, notably Rams left back Louis Sibley, who has played alongside him for England's youth teams. He said, I've played with Louis at England youth level. He's a funny guy. That's definitely him, White added. It's quite a young team, so I've played against a few in the academy too. Hey, hello, Coys. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a young team, so I've played against a few of them in the academy too. And White has a surprise for those in his family with a Derby connection. My girlfriend's stepmom is originally from Derby, so her parents are still up here, he continued. Her step-nan and granddad, step-auntie and uncle, they're all up here and Derby fans. Oh, well, there you go. Isn't that lovely for him? Isn't that lovely? So long as him and his girlfriend continue to get on, that is. No, that is pretty much all that's going on at the moment. This is really frustrating. However, we've managed to be on a live for 46 minutes and 30 something seconds. Pretty good going. There's still some of you here, so thank you very much for that. I'm assuming the live stays on here for anyone that hasn't seen it afterwards. It stays as a video and then they can watch it. Or if you didn't join from the beginning, you can just slide it back and start again. That's what I normally do with people's lives. Tottenham urged to copy Arsenal and Chelsea as disaster transfer window slammed in rant. Let's have a little look at that one, shall we? Tottenham have been urged to copy their Premier League rivals after Antonio Conte's January transfer window has been described as a disaster by former midfielder Jamie O'Hara. God, this guy, he absolutely loves a rant. I listen to him all the time on TalkSport, and he's just always kicking off. But in a way, he's completely right. You know, with Danjuma and Porro being our only first team signings, it's in a month, it's ridiculous. Like Chelsea have had a scattergun approach. They've just gone out and bought the world and its mate. Arsenal have been clever and identified the areas they need and just gone out and bought them. O'Hara's not been happy with Spurs bringing in just 2 players this month, as they're unlikely to make any further deals beyond Porro after rescuing a deal for the Spaniard. He said, again, it's a bit of a disaster from Tottenham, isn't it? It just takes ages to get things done with Daniel Levy, and once Porro is in a Spurs shirt, I will believe it is done. This is the problem with us. Yesterday, it looked like it was off. I was pulling my hair out, and today it looks like it's going to happen. He's a good signing for us. He's better than what we've got, and I think we need to start adding quality to the team that's actually going to improve the 11 players on the pitch. Too many times Spurs have signed players that have just improved the squad. We need to sign players like Arsenal have done, like Manchester United have done, like Newcastle have done. Look, as much as he's a bit of an annoyance when he talks, because he does rant. He's like a TalkSport's version of oozing expressions without being so over the top with his play acting for the camera. He's right. We are very much signing youngsters for the future, which I get. We don't sign enough older players with experience. And it is strange because when I've spoken about older players on this channel before, there's been a lot of people that disagree with me and go, they're too old. We can't sign them. There was a lot of people saying they didn't want Perisic because of his age. But those players had experience. They set the example. They teach the youngers. And then youngsters. That's because of my daughter. She says youngers all the time. It's like the thing the kids are saying now. The youngers and the olders really annoys me. Yeah, youngsters. They help them. And they add experience in the games where you really need them to push through. Yes, Perisic isn't, the marauding winger like he once was, but he's got experience. And look at Gareth Bale in the season when he came back. And I know a lot of people thought it was a bad season. He wasn't played a lot, and he was still what our third top goal scorer in that season. Scored some great goals, and that was without being fit. You know, so you can't take away the fact that these older players add something. Um, so I think maybe we need to go out there and get some, big name stars, even if they're towards the end of their careers, because they're cheaper by that time. You can get a few of them for free. Here we go. The one we've all been waiting for is now on the Spurs site. Officially, Porro signs from Sporting. We can finally say he's officially a Spurs player. It's on there. The photo with him holding the shirt. Hashtag men's first team. Hashtag new signing. That went on the website 2 minutes ago. 31st of January 2023. 22.50. We are delighted to announce the signing of Pedro Porro from Sporting CP. The right back will join the club on loan till the end of the season with an obligation to make the deal permanent in the summer. He will wear the number 23 shirt. Born in Don Benito, Spain, Pedro began his youth career locally at Gimnastico Don Benito before moving to Rayo Vallecano in 2015 and then Girona in August 2017, where he made his first senior debut a few months later. In December 2017, he joined CF Peralada on loan for the remainder of the campaign before returning to the, and I'm going to ruin this word, I'm sorry, Blanquivermels, maybe, where he made a total of 35 appearances in all competitions, scoring once. Featuring twice against us in this year's UEFA Champions League group stage, the 23-year-old signed from Man City in August 2019, but returned to Spain soon after to gain further first-team experience, joining Real Valladolid on a season-long loan. At Manchester City, he spent pretty much his whole time out on loan, didn't really have any conversations with Pep Guardiola that have been said, so it was a pretty poor time for him. So in terms of Premier League experience, he didn't actually train much under Pep Guardiola or any of the other players at Manchester City. So in terms of the experience for the Premier League that he might bring us, it's pretty much zero. So it's still a gamble as to whether he's going to fit in, but I do think he is an upgrade on Emerson Royale and the now departed Matt Doherty. So it then goes on to say, an attack-minded fullback, Pedro joined Sporting CP on a 2-year loan in August 2020, a deal which was made permanent in July 2022. In his first season in Lisbon, he played an integral role in helping the club secure a domestic double as Sporting claimed the Primeira Liga title for the first time in 19 years and the Portuguese League Cup, the Taça da Liga, scoring the decisive goal in the final. The following season, Pedro continued his fine form and helped his side scoop a second consecutive Taça da Liga. During his time with Sporting, the Spain international made a total of 98 appearances in all competitions, netting 12 times, and after an impressive string of performances in the 2020-21 season, he claimed the Primeira Liga's Defender of the Month award in 3 consecutive months. That was November 2020 to January 2021. He later claimed the award again in September 2021, currently sitting top of the Primeira Liga's assist chart. He was also named in the league's team of the year in each of the last 2 campaigns, the 2021 and 21-22 season. On the international stage, he has made 7 appearances for Spain's under-21 side before earning his senior debut in a FIFA World Cup qualifying fixture against Georgia in March 2021. Pedro was then named in the Spain squad that finished as runners-up in the 2021 UEFA Nations League. And that is what Tottenham have had to say about him. So, I think we can probably say with 5 minutes to go in the window, I told you they'd do this, they'd announce it right at the end to get us a little bit excited and hopefully forget about the fact that we haven't signed anyone else apart from the youngster from Chelsea throughout the day. And look what it did. The second it come through, smile on my face, I'd get all excited and talk to you about it. It's absolutely, how am I doing for battery? Oh, not too bad. Still got 60% battery. Yeah, it was a distraction. Got me excited. I've spoken about it, but realistically, I'm over it already. I hope he hits the ground running. But I am very, very frustrated that we haven't managed to sign anybody else. In terms of a position we needed, yes, we did need that very much. It's been a frustration for us, not just this season, last season as well. I think from what we saw with Doherty, here we go, Gunslinger. Like, oh hello, another pod that I don't have to hear an advert for. Yeah, we love a last minute signing. The only issue with this one, it's not a last minute signing because it's been going on for a month. But yeah, back to the right backs and right wing backs before. Doherty towards the end of last season actually started to look like the player that we thought we'd signed from Wolves, and then got the injury that of course led to what happened. I'm just frustrated. I'm really frustrated. I think it's a poor window. When actually the window in January last year ignited our season. Bentancur and Kulusevski coming in, just it really pushed that midfield on and the attacking line. You know, Bentancur is classy. He looks good. He gets about. I know he was very poor in the last game, and gave the ball away a lot, but he's good in there. He's a good partner for Højbjerg, and it has meant that Yves Bissouma, who was one of the best midfielders that we want, I think everybody in the Premier League wanted Bissouma. At Brighton, he was tearing it apart. He came in, struggled tactically, couldn't get in above Højbjerg or Bentancur, has only really came in to cover them from injuries and later in games. He's not been getting enough game time to really hit the ground running. I do think he will turn good though. It doesn't matter whether you played in the Premier League or not. When you didn't say that last year, yeah. Can't remember what I was saying now. That's the only problem when you do these lives. You see the comments coming through, and then you have to try and read them because they actually disappear as well quite quickly. Here we go. There's just a lot about Doherty coming through. Loads of people moaning about it, saying it was a bit of a shock. But there you go. What are we? 10:58. I think we can safely say it's not going to happen. Oh, Tottenham mug Romano offers defenders loan transfer turns into mutual contract termination. Look, nobody could have seen that one coming. I think a lot of us were looking at it. You said someone will turn good. Someone will turn good. I honestly can't remember. I can't remember. It's hard watching the computer screen, then watching your comments come in and that. Who will turn good? Someone will. Someone could. Oh, yeah. So I think we were talking along the lines of. Oh yeah, Bazuma. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Bazuma, I think will turn good. We've had it before. I remember. Was it Moussa Dembele when he first came in? He looked like he was going to struggle, and he ended up being an incredible player for us. And I'm actually annoyed. I was thinking about it at work today, and it really annoyed me when I was looking back at the whole Moussa Dembele situation, because it's interesting to see that we've obviously learnt our mistake, because we're doing something different with Lucas Moura. With Moussa Dembele, Gunslinger, I can rewind you. You can rewind me, but I can't rewind myself. Once I've said something, I can't go back because I can't watch it. But yeah, Moussa Dembele, the situation with there, obviously he then went to China in a season where we desperately needed him, and missed him in the Champions League final against Liverpool. And I've said before, I'm not overly convinced in saying that we definitely would have won that had we had Moussa Dembele, but we'd have had a much better chance. He was just incredible on the ball. Every Spurs player that has played with him, and in fact I think nearly everyone that has played with Moussa Dembele says he's the best player they've ever played with. For us, he didn't score enough goals. That's partly down to where we played him. When he was at Fulham, he played further forward in a more attacking role. For us, we sat him a bit deeper. His ability to nick the ball off people was incredible. Nobody could get the ball off him. And then we ended up letting him go for, was it 12.5 million or something like that? And I said at the time, I would rather we let him run down his contract and let him go for free if it meant we could have lifted the Champions League trophy or secured a better position in the Premier League. Lucas Moura is a slightly different situation because of his injury problems that he's had. I know he played against Arsenal in the under-21s game, looked good and scored. He actually played through the middle, wearing the number 9 shirt. And we're going to allow him go to free. Now, we've got the option to extend his contract by a year. So my issue with that one is we didn't manage to get him out the door in this transfer window, although he was linked with late moves to Crystal Palace and Everton, neither of which materialised because apparently he was happy just to stay at Spurs till the end of the season, run his contract down and go, which is frustrating in itself because he's basically using us to build his fitness back up and then take his pick of clubs in the summer. Rumours are he's going to go back to Brazil with his family. No problems with that. I think he's been a good servant to the club. He never hit the heights that we wanted him to, but that hat-trick in the Champions League, I mean, that in itself was worth the money we paid for him. That was a night, a roller coaster of emotions. We saw Pochettino crying on the floor. As fans, it was incredible. It got us where we needed to. And then Pochettino made the mistake of allowing Harry Kane to start the Champions League final. But, you know, hindsight's a great thing. But yeah, I think with the Lucas Moura situation, I wonder if we're going to see him play in a Spurs shirt again before the end of the season. We might need him to if we get some more injuries. But I just think that if they should just extend his contract by the further year, so in the summer we could at least recoup a little bit of money for him, because if that's, you know, we had to suffer by letting Moussa Dembele go in, 12.5 million, was it really worth the money to allow him to leave? And it potentially cost us in the end. Whereas with Lucas Moura, it's the other way round. Like his injury problems have meant that he hasn't really played much at all this season. And I would love to see us just extend the contract and say, look, we'll extend your contract the year. If we don't get anyone come in for you, money-wise, then we'll just allow you to go for free anyway. Because if we extend his contract by a year, we don't have to give him a pay rise. And we've still got time to extend it. So I would extend his contract and say, look, we'll try and recoup a bit of money, but we're not going to block you from going for free if we don't get any money come in, or you don't like the clubs that come in with offers. But it'll be interesting to see if he plays any more for us this season. But look, it's gone 11 o'clock now. It's 4 minutes past 11. There are no signs of anything else coming in that I can see of. The only other thing there is, apparently, if Premier League clubs get enough paperwork in between 9 and 11, they have a 2-hour extension, so until 1 o'clock in the morning, where transfers can potentially go through. I'm not going to sit on here till then, obviously, because there's not going to be much for us to talk about. And last time, nothing happened. So there is still a chance that something might be in there that we don't know about. But we'll wait till the morning. I have a feeling nothing's going to happen. The fact that they've waited until the last minute to announce the Porro signing tells me nothing's going to happen. So there you go. That is Zaniolo just signed. Yes, Gunslinger, we wish. That would be fantastic news, wouldn't it? I mean, I would love for that to be the case. What was that? Sherry, he got an Amazon delivery. Everton miss out on Michi Batshuayi. Well, I don't really care about that. Why has that come through on the Tottenham news page? It's weird because I'm on the Tottenham website, and you then go on News Now, and it brings you stuff that's come through. So they're talking about Batshuayi and Gordon. There's not that I can see any mention of Tottenham so far in that article. I don't know why that one's come through to the page. I got excited for a minute thinking, oh, something else is coming through, but it's not. But there you go. So that is the video for this evening. Thank you to those of you that have been a part of it, watched it, put your likes and stuff. A frustrating one, but it's just nice to have a chat, although be it I'm chatting and you're typing and I'm having to read that and read that. It's a weird format, the lives. I don't mind doing them. I think we might try another format next time that I do a live, or the transfer window, where potentially I sit and talk with somebody. so there's a bit more human interaction, and we will still comment on your comments. I will make sure one of the two of us, whoever I'm doing it with, keeps their eye on the comments whilst I'm having a look at the other stuff. But yep, that is it. So this window, players in, Danjuma, he'll be an okay squad player, and Pedro Porro finally over the door. He's not going to be a mystical Leandro Damião where it goes on for a whole window and nothing happens. So they are the two first team signings that have come in, and then with Jude coming in as going into the development squad, and players heading out the door on loan. So there you have it. Thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed it, of what there was to enjoy. I have been Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. And until next time, which will be tomorrow, where we talk about the fact that we signed nobody else, come on you Spurs.